How does that look? Pretty hairy? No. I think I can do it.
So this was the second summer in a row that I visited the Lake City area, which is a really neat little town tucked away in the San Juan Mountains. Originated back in the 1870s from mining and the railroads. Now outdoor recreation and tourism are more the big things here. Anyway, last summer when I was here, I climbed Uncompahgre and Red Cloud Peaks, two of the other 14ers in the area. And those turned out to be two fairly different climbs, so I came here this summer expecting that climbing Wetterhorn would be something fairly different in its own right, and it turns out it was. Anyway, the name Wetterhorn was originally given to the mountain back in the 1870s by the Wheeler Survey, inspired by the Swiss mountain of the same name, and in German means Weather Peak. Eventually, the neighboring 13er Matterhorn Peak was named in the same vein. Now, all that having been said, I hope you enjoy the footage.
So it's just after 5 o'clock in the morning here. I'm headed up the Henson Creek Road. You can see it's still pitch black out here. The road's still pretty good to this point. We're at about mile 7 of this road now. It has gotten somewhat rougher. Got more washboards, more protruding rocks. It's still not too bad though. And you can see this North Henson Creek Road is much rougher than the Henson Creek Road. Hopefully it doesn't get too much worse. Only a couple miles of this though. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get started on foot. It's still almost totally dark out, almost 6 in the morning. All right, here I go. You want to take the right fork of this road. I'm still headed on foot up this last segment of road. And coming now to the trailhead, I think. Getting a little lighter. So I'm at the Matterhorn Creek Trailhead, about 6:15 in the morning. We're ready to start up the actual trail toward the Wetterhorn Peak. There's the signage. going up at a moderately steep rate. Probably still can't see much yet. But anyway, the total elevation gain for this climb is, I believe, a little bit over 3,000 feet. Total mileage is probably about 8 miles. Most of this is going to be northward towards Wetterhorn Peak. And at the end, we kind of wrap around toward the west. It's getting light out now. I'm still headed northward along this initial stretch of the trail following the trailhead. Kind of opened up a little bit more out of that initially thick forest. And up ahead there, you can see Matterhorn Peak, 13er. Back the other way. Well, you see down there that eastward switchback that just went up, coming from that direction. Now the path is once again resumed in northward direction. Well, after the incline around the area of that switchback back there, trail's leveled out just a little bit and heading through another forested section here. And we're coming out of that brief wooded section back there. And the view is dramatically opening up. And we're at roughly 11,500 feet here. Still heading northward. And I'm still heading northward. Probably over 11,500 feet now at this point. That's back the direction I'm coming from. Now panning around towards the west, we can see now the destination of the day, Wetterhorn Peak. And what we're going to do, continue on northward for a while, and then end up, like I said before, wrapping around below that ridge, and then up to the summit there. Coming up on about 12,000 feet. There's Matterhorn Peak up ahead. Just after that last creek crossing, you reach this sign here. Wetterhorn Peak to the left. So this is the point at which we're going to start heading to the west, northwest. Just after that last trail intersection, you descend down a little bit, and there are some creek crossings. Following those creek crossings, you go back on the fairly steep ascent in this northwest direction up these grassy slopes here, and we're going to turn even more towards the west now, panning back over towards the east. There's Matterhorn Peak again, and coming into view not only the sun, but the summit of Uncompahgre Peak over there. Continue along towards this rockier terrain up here. And I'm now at maybe about 12,400 feet or so, having begun to zigzag up that aforementioned rockier terrain. And I'm here at about 12,500 feet. Yeah, up here at kind of a boulder field area here. And the final challenge here is coming more into view. That gnarly looking southeast ridge of Wetterhorn Peak there. Still headed about westward up this rocky stretch. About 12,700 feet or so. And so we're kind of left the rocks behind for the time being. We're closing in on about 13,000 feet, and we're on a southwest stretch right now, and will be until right up here when we get to the beginning of this gnarly southeast ridge. Still coming up to the southeast ridge here. You come up to this sizable bank of snow that has to be negotiated, but looks like you can just go over and above it. Immediately following that bank of snow, you reach the bottom of the southeast ridge, and a view the other direction opens up dramatically here. Continue on, come up here and see what I'm in store for. This gets pretty steep already. Then you come to this patch of yellow dirt, and then you ascend up that, then up the remainder of the southeast ridge here. And my understanding is that you're supposed to proceed up toward the left side of the ridge, and then when you reach that notch at the top, that's between what's called the ship's prow on the left and the summit on the right. You go between that notch, and then you go up the rest of that distance to the summit. This is some fairly loose sand here. Not too bad though. Alright, this is where it gets real. Reach the end of that yellow dirt. Had some water and snacks and put my helmet on and see how this goes. And you can see we are proceeding around to the left side of this ridge. As mentioned before, so far so good. Pretty steep. I'm going to go a few feet across this kind of gully here. Get back to the rocks on the other side and resume the path upward. You can see that protruding rock rib up there. From what I studied, you need to eventually get onto the other side of that. I'm going to continue up
on this side of it here. And then, as I understand, there's a better way to the other side of that once you get up here. And we're definitely climbing now. And we've reached the opening in that rock rib. And you have to go hop down a little bit here. No big problem. And then after 10-20 feet of that, resume the path upward. And there's a view down into that gully I just came up, which runs parallel to that rock rib. And I'm approaching the final crux of the matter here. Continue. And eventually you kind of veer a little bit leftward up here after that gully and descend and start up towards the opening between the ship's prow and the summit there. Back down here's a little bit better path. And
I don't think there's one single best way to go here. The rock is actually pretty solid up to this point. You can see this rock slab off to the left here is the ship's prow, and we're going to be going between into that notch between the ship's prow and the summit, which is on the right. You see, within this opening here is a lower opening on the left of the notch and a higher opening on the right, and you're supposed to go through that upper notch. Here's the notch. Wow, look at that. Okay, we reach the top of the notch, and after that you have to go 15-20 feet down this slab, and then you begin the ascent up the top part here. I was waiting for some other folks to pass by who was they were actually the first people I've seen all day. How does that look? Pretty hairy? No. I think I can do it. Rock actually seems pretty nice up to this point. Fairly solid. Although these little ledges do have a little bit of gravel on them, so be careful of that. Find good footholds and handholds so as you don't slip. So I was told when you reach this little walk up here, you can either continue on up straight to the summit, or you can go off to the left on this walk here and then find a little bit easier climbing to the top from there. But this doesn't look all that bad, so I think I'm going to continue up straight this way. Ta-da! Here I am at the summit. That was actually really neat. So here I am at the summit of Wetterhorn Peak, 14,015 feet high, I believe. It was a lot of fun getting up here, actually. A heck of a nice day up here. No wind, very clear, and I'm going to enjoy the summit for a little while, have some snacks and water, lunch, and then head back down that treacherous way. I'm going to do a pano from the summit of Wetterhorn Peak here. He was off kind of to the north there and around towards the west. There's nothing but mountains as far as you can see. And starting to look towards the south here. Down towards where I came from. And around towards the east we have Compadre Peak. And here we are back at the final pitch again. Only going down this time. Lovely. And again, the rock is fairly solid, but it's the sand that's on some of these small ledges that you have to look out for, if that makes any sense. Just watch where you're putting your feet. For me, this involves a fair amount of crouching down. And no harm in going slow, I'll tell you that.
So I just wanted to give a final commentary on that climb from my room here in Lake City. It was a lot of fun. And the difficult part about it wasn't so much what I would call the endurance stats of total distance and total elevation gain, but rather that final section along the southeast ridge there. I mean, there is some exposure. Make sure you have your helmet on. And the rock is pretty solid. Just watch out for some of the loose gravel on some of those final ledges there. But all in all, it was a beautiful day for the climb. You gotta love the San Juans. Anyway, see you on the next mountain. Till next time.